When it comes to answers on the Cleveland Cavaliers, we have got none yet other than James Harden opting out of his deal earlier this morning, which was the expectation. We'll get an update on the extension he signs with Cleveland in the next 24 to 48 hours, I would guess. But the Cavs have been rumored to be linked to Jaylen Brown by sources in Boston. Mike Scotto over the weekend put out a list of teams that he's heard have interest in Jaylen Brown. These are the 7 teams: the Blazers, the Raptors, the Nuggets, the Nets, the Hornets, the Hawks, and the Clippers. You may notice the Cavaliers are not on this list. They have not been reported to be interested in basically any of the big names floating around on the market or linked to any of the big name free agents. So, Jason, at this point of the offseason with free agency right around the corner, do you think the Cavs moving in silence is a sign that they may be working on something sneaky behind the scenes, or an indication that running it back is a legitimate possibility for next season?
Well, I think the only reason running it back, we talked about this before, the only reason why I give pause to them running it back is because of the tweet that Dan put out after they lost, saying that we're nowhere near where we need to be. And that's been stuck in the back of my head since the season ended. But short of that, they've sort of given every indication that they want to try and keep this together. And we've talked about, Evan staying here and what does Donovan want? If does Donovan want to play with Evan, well, then Evan's going to be here. And obviously the Cavs are very high on Evan Mobley. So, yeah, I tend to think it probably is going to be not a ton of moves. Obviously, the LeBron thing's hanging over everything, and we'll see how that shakes out. And there's moves being made even today on that front with teams around the league and him. But if you're telling me to pick right now, is Jaylen Brown going to be on the Cavs? No, it doesn't sound like it will be. And Mike, you and I both said that's a move that I think that we would consider, that I would probably do. But they seem committed to keeping this thing together and running it back and doing it again.
For who? Like, who would you?
I think both sides, it makes a lot of sense.
No. I'm saying, what are you giving up to get Jaylen?
Evan. Jaylen for Evan. I would do it.
See, I'm surprised you're saying that, because you've said forever that Mobley's the linchpin.
But I think Jaylen Brown is as well. Like, you're trading stud for stud. And Jaylen, to me, plays that wing position that they have struggled to fill.
No question.
For 10 years. I mean, but for 20 years outside of LeBron.
What hole is left in the middle? I mean, you're relying on Jarrett then to be the guy?
I mean, Jarrett's the center, and then, you have the conversation about, do you bring Dean Wade back? Is Dean your starting four at that point? Yeah. Listen, you got to give something to get something. But I think that makes a lot of sense, Jaylen for Evan. I've thought
Zach,
that all along.
You think?
So when I read that list of the teams there and the Cavs aren't on it, and I just kind of the other temperature of the discussion out there, I take it as two things. First being that the Cavs just flat out are saying that Evan Mobley is not available.
Right.
That makes sense.
But it seems to be.
He's Evan Mobley. And it also makes sense because you'd be posturing. And I think what I read is that the Celtics have lost a little bit of leverage in the Jaylen Brown thing. Like, they had to float him out there for Giannis, and they went down the road, and now it feels like the Celtics and Jaylen Brown are breaking up. So there might be a chance for less than maximum value. Now, does that involve the Cavs? No. The Cavs are almost certainly not getting him without giving up Evan Mobley. But shopping him to these other teams and trying to get the best deal makes sense. And especially for the Celtics, they probably don't want him to send him to the East. Now, do they want Evan Mobley? I would say he's probably better than they get from those teams for sure.
Yeah.
But I just think we probably start with, okay, the Cavs are saying we're not trading Mobley unless, right? Just like the Browns weren't trading Myles Garrett.
Yeah. If the price is right,
yeah,
they're trading it.
So, but I think you work from that, and then we get into the discussion we've been having, which is, hey, can you really run this back? Is that the right thing to do? Or are you stuck running it back? And that has to be the thing that you choose.
Are you with Jay that this is a deal you would do?
I would probably do that. Yeah.
Wow.
I probably would. I do have questions about what's the next move. How do you fortify your front court? How do you fortify your deep?
Right.
What do you do with Harden, Mitchell, and Jaylen Brown? I worry about that, but I lean, like, in a one or none situation, Jay, just talking about it, I would make that deal, yes.
And Mike, you would too.
I would too, yeah.
Wow.
I said it last week. I guess it was after the day you were on, but I understand that Mitchell, Harden, and Brown is a wonky offensive fit, but we can't sit here and keep saying the Cavs have no chance to win a championship if they run it back. Have an all-NBA player at the most important position in the game be presented to you and then say, oh, yeah, no, I'm going to pass. Like, we can't have both at the same time. I would make the deal and figure out the rest later.
So that, to me, sounds like collectively you guys are all in the place that I've been in for 3 years. and that's that Evan Mobley is never going to ascend to the heights that we had hoped or expected him to get to.
It's a short list of players that I would trade Evan Mobley for. It's a really short list.
Sure,
and most of them aren't available.
Right.
This just happens to be one of the few guys that would be on that I would, but it's not. There aren't very many guys in the league where I would say, yeah, I would trade Evan in a 1-for-1.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that too.
Jay, do you get the sense though that the silence, more than the actual Jaylen Brown stuff in particular, just the overall silence coming from independents in the Cavs facility is an indication of running it back, or they have something up their sleeve that they don't want anyone to know about?
I'm with Jay on this. When Dan Gilbert sent out that message,
Yeah.
to me, that wasn't a whisper. That was he was screaming on top of a building that was on fire, that he needs help. He's not going to survive if I don't get help soon. That, to me, sounded like the cries of a desperate man. This isn't it. We're far away. We need to do something big. What is that home run? Is it Evan for Jaylen? That would be a home run try, be a home run swing.
Yeah.
Whether or not it actually leads to the Cavs winning a championship, I don't know. I'm curious. The silence could also be, I think that LeBron is moving very stealth-like as he has in the past. You know, he probably has a circle of maybe one or two that are really in the thick of the discussions. It was the conversation, I think, on Friday was that Brian Windhorst had reported that, look, I've talked to guys that LeBron was with on the golf trip that are now teammates of mine at ESPN. And of course, you're going to ask them, where's he going? And according to Wendy's reporting, which I believe, according to the players, they asked and he didn't say anything. He gave no breadcrumbs, because I think I had said if LeBron had dropped breadcrumbs during that trip, it would have been all over social media within a day. Who is Brutus? Like, who's the guy that turns on his buddy? I don't know. One of them would have told someone, texted someone. They would have told someone, texted someone, and it would have been major headlines. But that didn't happen.
But that's not that surprising. LeBron and Dwayne were on a private jet in 2010.
Right.
And LeBron didn't tell Dwayne he was leaving.
Oh, I know.
Like the night before.
His circle is locked down tight. So I'm not going to be surprised if we find out in a week that LeBron is coming back to Cleveland. I've said all along, I could be wrong. It's just a hunch that I have. I'm trying to gauge what's important to LeBron, and the pieces that I've put together is LeBron went to a city that was kind of like, LeBron's here. They've had Magic. Right. They've had Kareem. They've had Kobe. They know what and so LeBron was like, for the first time, I think, in his career, and you can argue that might have happened in Miami because he had some other superstars. But for the first time in LeBron's career, it wasn't like, open the gates, here's the key to the city, LeBron James is here, LeBron's here, and everybody goes bananas. Yeah. And I think if LeBron is asking where, and I don't think he's doing this calculus, like I think it's all subconscious, where would I go and it would be like I'd get a key to the city? Yeah. I think it would be Cleveland.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of open-endedness. To get to Mike's original question here, I think we all need a reminder, like us and the viewers, like James Harden's contract had to come first.
Sure.
The Cavs have to probably try to jump Schroeder's contract. Like, and especially if LeBron is involved, it might be later. Like, they weren't going to be involved in this first wave. Unless they got Giannis, which didn't happen. They were out early. They weren't going to be involved in this first wave of moves. So there was the Giannis splash, and there's been other things, and it was always going to be maybe 2 days from now, or even 2 weeks or 2 months from now.
Sure.
Rather than, and everybody's like, show this. The Cavs can't run this back. And I get that thought. I have the same thought. It's just, hey, calendar-wise, let's see how this plays out.
And do we want to venture a guess? You know, I'm pretty much on record saying back at the All-Star break that LeBron's going to finish it out here in Cleveland. Because I think the betting markets, one of the betting markets had LeBron returning to Cleveland at 91%. Yeah.
Oh,
that seems extremely high.
That's an overreaction to an Instagram post.
But here's the deal. If you want to make money, go ahead and jump on it. Yeah. I mean, 91% was what they were saying. So I think another one, I don't know if it was Kalshi, one of the other ones, had the Lakers at 38% and the Cavs at 33% as the second pick. I thought that was that to me is much more in line. Yeah. But then over the weekend, there was some reporting, I think, that the Lakers are just as likely to retain LeBron as they are to let him go.
Yeah,